Okay, 20 LL. Well, a few more days to Rosh Hashanah. So let's start with Hayom Yom, which, to be honest, I haven't opened yet. Hayom Yom 20. No, it's a one-liner. One who is lowly and crass does not sense his own crassness and lowliness. That's pretty obvious, but profound, right? In order to deal with one's crassness, you have to get first sensitive that you're crass. And then you can, for the first time, deal with it. Okay. Hayom Yom. Okay, that's Hayom Yom. They'll say lessons in Tanya. We're in the middle of describing the 10 powers as they reflect the 10 spheros. Today's lessons in Tanya is on page 273. And in Likutei Amorim, it is near the bottom of page Chof Gimel, opposite 244. A marginal line begins with Vehine, and the text is a little over to the left. So he starts, Hine kol zeh, everything we've been talking about. So what have we been talking about? We've been talking about the 10 powers invested in a human being, which are reflective of the 10 spheres, which are the expressions, the way Hashem expresses himself to create. And we've been giving examples of this, of each of the midos: kindness, unlimited flow, unlimited gratuitous bonding with another person. Gevura, just the opposite. A midah that holds back from relating to another person. Tiferes, the blend of the two. I didn't give this mashal yesterday, but we have this mashal we've talked on other times. An example of this is a toddler who wants candy. The chesed gives the candy. The gevura says, don't give too much candy, he'll get sick. So in relation to, and then we spoke, what we did speak about is in relation, chesed and gevura, to a rav and a talmud, a teacher and a student. The teacher wants to give, but what the teacher needs to give is something that the student can be makabel. So the teacher has to restrain, meaning design it, take the teaching and design it so that it fits the capabilities of the makabel. And those two things together, chesed and gevura, interoperate, and together that's called Rachmanis, or Tiferes. And we went through Netzach, the victorious, the power to overcome. We went through all the midos as they pertain to all of our mashalim, relationships of one person to another on the human scale. Now, all of this that we talked about came now back inside. Kol zeh, all of this that I just explained, is rak al derek mashal avad, is only a metaphor. Ki kol zeh hu benefesh hasichlis, because all of this that we talked about pertains to the nefesh hasichlis. This is the first and maybe the only, I'm not sure, time in Tanya that the Tanya refers to a third soul. In fact, at the beginning of Tanya, he says there are two souls, the nefesh elokis and the nefesh bahamis. Later on in his, I don't know if it's chronologically, but later on in his Maimorim, the Alter Rebbe introduced the nefesh hasichlis. Nefesh hasichlis has the same structure as the other two, but its role in life, so to speak, is all of the mundane interactions that we talked about, a father and son, a teacher and student, etc. And it's the Chabad of the Nefesh HaSichlis drives the midos, so that if one wants to be compassionate on someone, that's the midah of Rachamim, right? It's driven by the balance of Chesed and Gevura, which is driven by the balance of Chochmah and Bina, So, and that's the context in which we up till now have discussed all the individual and interactions between all of the midos. The way the mind rules over the heart in terms of human interaction. That's called nefesh hasichlis. What we're going to now move into is the nefesh elokis, the godly soul, as we'll see. So kol zeh, so far, everything that we have been described. Nefesh hasichlis, by the way, is not spoken about very much. In the Rebbe Rashav introduces a pretty long, or at least pithy, discussion of it in Ranat, which is a hemshech, which is a mimer from the Rebbe Rashav in Reish Nun Tes. But leaving that aside, our subject isn't the nefesh hasichlis, just to say that there is this nefesh hasichlis. And moving on, so far what we described has been the effect of mind over heart and body as it pertains to the human experience, driven by the nefesh hasichlis. Atachtoina, which is this nefesh hasichlis, is a lower soul, Sheba Adam. It's a soul that stands between the nefesh elokis and the nefesh bahamis. And it comes from klippus noga, because the nefesh bahamis, although also its province is klippa, the nefesh bahamis can move from klippus noga, which is a light klippa, into gimel klippus atameus, into the totally forbidden area as well. So this intermediary soul is from the higher levels of klippus noga. Ach be'emes lamite, however, in truth, the nefesh elyoina, when we talk now, are going to talk now about the higher soul, which is the nefesh elokis, shehi chelek eleka mimal, which I'm sure you've heard this expression many times, is a piece or a part of God from above. Kol hamidas penimis v'chitzonius, all the attributes of the nefesh elokis, their penimius, which is their innerness, and their chitzonius, which is their expression. Hein laHashem levad. All the midos are only to Hashem. To contrast, in the nefesh hasichlis, the midos have to do, as I said earlier, with human interaction. They belong to the realm of our interface with other people and with situations in the physical world. The nefesh elokis is all about Hashem and our relationship to Hashem. And therefore, they are all given over to being supporting and enabling that relationship with Hashem, levade, alone. Kimach masavas Hashem, because, and now he'll go through Abba, Chesed, right? Because of love of Hashem, umerev chefse, and one's great desire, ledavkebe, to cling to Hashem, hu chafetz chesed. So the person wants to do kindness with his Creator. He wants to do kindness with Creator. He wants to do, what is an act of kindness? That you're doing something that somebody wants or needs. So Hashem has a want, lots of wants. They're expressed in the 613 mitzvahs. But ultimately what he wants is a dwelling place down here below. And ultimately what that's for is to bring redemption. And so our kindness to Hashem, be kind to God. Give him what he wants. So this is chafetz chesed. So the nefesh elokis, his whole desire is the person wants chesed, kedei, in order, lidvek or ledovek, midaisov, in order to cling to Hashem's holy midos. And Ma'amad Azal, as our sages have said on the pasuk in Devorim, uladavkebe, to cling to Hashem. Adave b'midaisov, to cling to Hashem is to cling to his midos. Just as he is kind, you should be kind, etc., etc. As he said, and likewise, the midah of Gevurah. He's now in today's lesson going through each and every one of the midos, as he did yesterday in the human or secular construct, now in the divine construct. Chesed LaHashem, and similarly, midas HaGevurah. What would be the Gevurah aspect of one's relationship with Hashem? Well, the Gevurah, what does Hashem do with his midah of Gevurah? He gives punishment to the Rishoyim. He punishes them according to the rules of the gavuras of the Torah. And also that's one aspect of gavura, so Hashem. His gaver al yitzray. Another aspect of gavura. Gavura is also power, as in Shimshin Hagibur, to utilize one's own gavura al yitzray over one's yetzer hara, to use the power of gavura in the godly soul to push away and ultimately transform the yetzer hara. Ulekadesh es atzmai b'mutaloi, and not necessarily pushing it away in what the Torah calls evil, but even to push it away in the sense of not being so attached to the pure physicality of things and being more attached to the godliness which underlies the physicality of things. So even in those things which are mutter to you, like food, don't make that a fetish. It's not isser to eat that food, but don't make it a fetish. Make the relationship with food a relationship of health, physical health, in order that your physical health can be utilized to serve Hashem. So that's overpowering the negative drag of food to take you into realms which are unhealthy. So that's Kaddish Atzmacha B'Mutala. Sanctify yourself even in what's permissible to you. B'la says, gather beside the Torah. And another aspect of Gevurah, of the Nefesh Elokis, is to make boundaries around your Torah. B'nei Pachat Hashem, because of your Yirah Shemayim. Pachat Hashem V'Rasa, your Yirah Shemayim. And Yovel L'Dechet, know yourself and know that what you need to do in order to make sure that you don't overstep into the realm of klippas which are unclean. That's a gevurah, restraining yourself, so that you don't come l'deichet, that you don't come to sin, chas v'sholem. So that's the gevurah of the nefesh elokis. We have three aspects of gevurah here. Now tiferes, beauty, which we explained yesterday. Beauty is a composite of two or more colors. It's not a singularity, it's a blend. So lefar es Hashem b'teirosei b'chol minei poher, to beautify Hashem with all kinds of beautification. U'ledavke b'shivacha, and to cling to Him in your praises. B'chol b'chinas nafshe, in all the categories of your soul. In other words, blend them all together. Your chesed in the service of Hashem, with gevurah, your compassion, etc. Now, how does one do this? How does one come to do this? By contemplation in one's intellect, and in one's thought, and also in one's speech, and likewise to stand straight and tall and powerful, netzach. So now we're at the midah of netzach. We've gone from Tiferes to netzach. To stand strong, literally victorious, neged kol manea, against anything which interferes, me'avodas Hashem, of your service of Hashem, and from clinging to Him, to anything which interferes with that. Beneged kol manea meliyas kavod Hashem moli'es kol ha'oretz, and to stand against anything which interferes with bringing and actualizing the glory of Hashem as He fills all the earth. Hashem, in the wars of Hashem. Netzach is primarily associated with Netzach is victory also. And to use your power of Netzach to be victorious, to bring awareness of Hashem to yourself and to the world as you fight the battles of Hashem. The battles which David HaMelech fought constantly. I mean, Tillim is an amazing set of poems, of writings, in which you see David HaMelech struggling all the time to overcome the outside forces around him, those who are trying to kill him, the inside forces, and he uses it, and his midah of Netzach. We have many kapitlach, which begin Lamanatseach, which is Netzach is the word of victory. So like the wars of David HaMelech, so that's Netzach. So we have Hesed Gevurah Tiferes Netzach, and now we'll come to Hod. To bow down and to give thanks or admit, give oneself over to Hashem, to give thanks and admit and acknowledge, all three words related to Hoid. I don't know how he translates in Lesson in Tanya, but to acknowledge, give over, to the knowledge, the awareness that it's Hashem, give oneself over to the awareness that Hashem is the one who is Mahava es HaKol, who brings everything into existence. And everything really is nullified in its existence in relation to Hashem, because Hashem is the only true existence. And therefore everything else is considered like nothing in front of it. And the word Haidah is, even though we don't see it that way, because we see lots of things, to be Haidah is also connected with the word midos, to admit, even though you don't see it, that this is the fact, that Hashem is the singular reality and everything in front of him is like nothing, and like absolutely nothing mamish. As he says now, actually, even though we don't understand, we don't grasp, Echu hakol efes mamish, how it is that everything is mamish, nothing, kameh in front of him. Afal b'chem moedim is that word haidah moedim. We admit, haidah, moedim enachnu loch. We admit, the haidah amitis, with a true admission, a true giving over, as well as a true thankfulness. Shechein hu be'emes, that so is the emes lamitis, so is the truth of truths. And also in the midah of Haidah, of Hoid, in the Hoidos, to give thanks to Hashem. To give so we have, it's interesting, this is an interesting place because he's giving us multiple meanings of many of the midos, which I'm remarking this because I don't remember another place where this is done. But he gives us a number of meanings. The Haidos, to give thanks to Hashem, al kol hateves asher gamalnu, which all the kindnesses which he has bestowed upon us. V'leilias kafui toiva, and don't be ungrateful. It's an idiom. Don't be ungrateful. Chas v'sholem. And in this generalization of thankfulness and admission, l'heides al kol shivcha, to praise with all of one's praises, umidoisov, and all of one's attributes, upoloisov, and all of one's activities, praising Hashem with one's praises, and praising Hashem's midos and his activities, v'atzilus u'buriyas ha'olam, in his emanating and creating worlds, upper worlds, and lower worlds, to give thanks to that, and admit to that, and be humble in front of it, and acknowledge that there are worlds going on underneath the surface of our very simple perception of the physical reality. That this is praiseworthy without end, without an end. And it's proper, and it's good and proper. I love Yisborah to give praises to Hashem. May he be blessed, may he spore, and may he be beautified. Praise and beautification. So that's quite a number of understandings. It's probably very good to review in terms of understanding the midos, the holy midos, the multiple meanings that are here on the page. Now, we'll move on to the next midah. What's after Hoid? Yisoid. He brings a phrase, the righteous one is the foundation of the world. Tzaddik, righteousness or righteousness is the foundation of the world. Yisoid is the funnel to which all the others come, and it's the foundation which is going to be given over to Malchus, which is the last one we'll speak about in a second. Yisoid olam, tzaddik yisoid olam, leis nafshei kashur b'Hashem. It's the one which binds to Hashem. Chaya chayim, who is the life of lives. Hashem is the life of lives. And to cling to Hashem with a desire and a choshek and with a desire, with a desire and a delight which is wondrous. Midas Malchus, and with the midah of Malchus, the Kabul Olav, all of that above comes through Yesod into Malchus, and Malchus is coronation of the king, Rosh Hashanah, acknowledging and acting in accordance with and being an agent of the king. The midas Malchus, the Kabul Olav Ol Malchus Shemayim. Well, I don't say Shemayim. The Kabul Olav Ol Malchus, to take upon oneself God's yoke, to be a subject of the king and act in accordance with all the holy midos. To be a subject of the king, take upon the yoke of kingship, and one's avoida, one's service, the avoida is kol evan, like the servant, like the avoida of a servant to a king, evid la'adoinai, like a servant to his master. The aim of Yira with fear and trembling and awe. That's a rundown of the whole midos of the Nefesh Elokis. That's today's time. I think, yes. So, yes, Kayanka.
Is there any place like where it's been written out like midos and then all these different attributes, or do I have to kind of pull it together?
Well, what do you mean? He just wrote it out.
No, I know, but I was thinking like an easy table form where we put it all.
Oh, maybe I've never seen one. I'll tell you what. When we've done, I think you were around when we did Spirits of Omer. Remember the spirit charts that I put out?
Yeah.
Those charts had multiple meanings, but those were things that I derived just from my learning. I don't know that anyone is really. I don't know. I don't know the answer. The answer to your question is I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody? But it would be a good. It would be a good. I mean, it would be a good thing to do to have that in front of us because, especially the multiple meanings, because these give us some multiple handles on how our nefesh elokis can operate. Yeah, that I think. Was that you?
Yeah, it's me. So, I guess what I'm asking, and again, I always like to apologize for the simplicity of my mind, but
wait a minute, hold on. They say about Hashem that he is the tachlis hapashitus. He is the ultimate in simplicity. So that's a good thing.
So yesterday we did, which I didn't realize, we did the one soul, and today we're doing the godly soul. So we did the vivifying soul,
the nefesh sichlis, the intellectual soul. Yeah, and I didn't bring it up either because he didn't position that way.
Right.
He just did that today. Yeah, go ahead.
So is this like something you actively think about to do, or is this something that happens because that's how we're made?
Good question. The answer is it depends on the person. Some people are more naturally disposed, and some people have to work on it. For instance, just take the midah of chesed. We'll take it from both sides, the nefesh sichlis and the nefesh elokis. The midah of kindness in human interaction. Remember we spoke earlier, a few pages back, about each person's neshama comes from a root soul, and that root soul can be predominantly kindness or gevura. We use the example, if you remember, Beis Hillel, Beis Shammai. So if I'm going to say something which, I mean, a little bit of tongue in cheek, but Beis Hillel, his natural state is chesed. He has to work on gevura. And Beis Shammai just the opposite. So it can be that one needs to work on it, or it can be, so it's take chesed. So a person can be a natural, like Beis Hillel, or has to work on it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. We have to work on it.
Only you know what you need to work on. Probably other people do too. So.
Good morning.
Good morning.
One thing it seems that I hadn't thought of before is that a person might have a nature of chesed or a nature of gevura, whatever nature they have.
Yeah.
It seems that the Tanya is encouraging us to focus on emulating Hashem.
Yes.
So that would mean that, like in a practical way, a lot of people want to increase in their tzedakah in the month of Elul. But if you are following what we're learning today, it would be, besides for just deciding to give tzedakah, to realize that I'm emulating Hashem when I give this tzedakah, and maybe I'll give a little more than I thought I would, because like kind of in that way I'm emulating Hashem, because I'm not doing what comes natural, but I'm going a little beyond that because I'm emulating Hashem. And another thought I had, which is harder for me, honestly, is that, let's say a person's nature is chesed and compassion, and they encounter someone whose nature is gevuradik. When you look at all of this together, you realize that that person is serving Hashem. Sometimes you might think that like only your way is a good way. I'm thinking as a teacher, because as a teacher, I very much want to build up the students, and I want to be very careful when if there's a student who, I don't know, who annoys me, I want to be very careful not to say something, I don't know, to the best of my ability, not to say something that would be a personal attack. So then when there's another teacher who, let's say, gives impossible tests, or, like that's her style. She has stricter rules. So her style is more of gevura. So I could think to myself, I'm frummer than her. But the truth is, like, there's a lot of midos here. It's not just your midah, whichever midah it is. There's a lot of midos here. So when you see someone else who has a different midah, but they are serving Hashem, I'm not talking about people do the wrong thing. I'm talking about they're sincerely serving Hashem. Just, you become a little bit closed off. You think, well, mine's a good one. Well, there's a lot of things here. So you have to kind of have a little bit more of an ahavas Yisrael and more of a recognition, which is hard for me, honestly, because I like to think, that my way is the best.
Good. If it's hard for you, that's an indication of the avodah you need to do, right?
But, we have to have that recognition that
it's interesting.
A lot of here, not just one.
Rose, it's interesting what you said. I don't know if others picked it up, that the Gevura she's frummer than I. And so many people do equate Gevura with frumkeit, right? Because you have to be very strict about this and about that, right? It's interesting. And I'm just very briefly, someone sent me a video, one of the, someone giving a talk about the Satmar Rav Yoel. There was a Jewish person in Williamsburg, and there were a few of these, who in your face kept open on Shabbos. And the Frumers, the Gavuras, were very upset about that. And one day, I'll make it very short. One day, the Satmar Rav was walking with his Hasidim to a Kiddush, and he went by this particular store, one particular store, and he walked in, and he tipped his shtreimel, and he said, "Good Shabbos, good day, how are you?" And he greeted him with a cheery smile, and all the others, Hasidim, one after another, did the same thing, and they left. And ultimately, the person became from that kindness, that rather than the gevura that was shown to him. So, yes, just a little editorializing there on frumkeit and gevura. Yeah. Yes, I think one of the things that both of you are saying is that with this awareness of this full deck we have of Chesed Gevurah Tiferes all the way down to Malchus, we have opportunities here to express what comes naturally and to work on what doesn't come naturally, because we have it all. Anybody else? Okay, then we'll close with that. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.